Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that. If you're returning, how you doing? What we're going to talk about right now is the fact that for a while now, it has been made abundantly clear that there is no more middle class. You're either rich or you're poor. Some of us are able to live comfortably due to the fact that we work more than we are home. The cost of living rises faster than our paychecks do. And that's been happening for years. And this has pushed millions of Americans into poverty. As for those of us that are already impoverished, many of us have been pushed out into the streets. Homelessness in the United States is increasing at the fastest rate ever recorded in 2023. Anyone that thinks that we do not have a major problem on our hands, simply just, you're not paying attention, okay? At one time, living the American dream was a goal that all of us could aspire to achieve. But now it's so far out of reach for most of the country. Remember when we were growing up and we dreamed about getting married and having kids and buying our first home? Now, big companies like BlackRock, they're buying all of the homes, reselling them for huge profits, making it extremely difficult for people my son's age and his generation to even have the ability to buy, let alone even rent. We have millionaires. We have to be millionaires in order to achieve the American dream. The so-called American dream is like a benchmark that many people hope to achieve in their lifetime. Achieving these milestones now costs a staggering almost $3.5 million, much more than most Americans will even make in our lifetimes. One of the biggest amounts is for paying off a mortgage on a property. How many here have already paid off their homes? Okay. Who here is close to paying off their house? Okay. And when I say close, I owe like $47,000 on my house. Okay. Did you know that the average home buyer will fork out almost $800,000? And that's assuming that you put down 10% payment and have a 30-year fixed mortgage rate at like 7 something percent interest. Are you going to make $3.4 million during your working years? Probably not. It's Pepper. Sorry. If not, the American dream is not for you. It's not worth it. You sugarcoat something and then you give people like a false hope almost. Today it is only those that are at the very top of the economic food chain that are thriving. Once upon a time, America had the largest and most prosperous middle class, right? We didn't worry. We had money in the bank, we had food on the table, clean clothes on our back, a roof over our heads. We were good. But now, the top 1% controls more wealth than the entire middle class. America celebrated the middle class twice as much as the wealth of the upper 1%, and that was like almost 30 years ago. Imagine that. 30 years ago, the middle class, we could celebrate. Not anymore. Over the years, the rich have gone richer, and the poor were just that, poor. We're getting worse. The top 1% of American earners now control more wealth than the nation's entire middle class. And this is what happens when power and wealth are highly centralized. The gap between them and us is bigger now, more so than ever before. good luck trying to live a middle-class lifestyle in this environment. Do you want to buy, say, a living room set? Okay? You haven't bought a living room set since you got married 20 years ago and you want to buy a new living room set. Merry Christmas, okay? You want to buy your wife a new living room set, that one that she's been eyeing at Rooms to Go for the longest time. It's so pretty, okay? Well, that same exact living room set that would have cost you about $1,000 back in 2019 is now about $2,500, okay? Don't even get me started on the price of food. Beef, steak, ground meat, whatever. Did you know that it's considered a luxury meat? A luxury. And it's going to be even more expensive in 2024 because the USDA is projecting that beef production will be down, way down. They project that beef production will be down by 180 million pounds over a 6-month period by the end of 2023, by the end of this year. While it's been noted that the average size of herds, cattle herds that is at a 61 record low as farmers struggle to feed their animals. A lot of farmers and cattlemen, they're selling their cattle. Why? Because the cattle values in general are worth more than they've ever seen before, and quite frankly, they're worth more than what they're having to pay for hay just to feed that cattle. And we're being warned that supplies of many products that are in the grocery stores, they're getting tighter as well. As we prepare for 2024, okay, we're almost into a new year. It's important to know that changes are coming over the next year, including changes that might come to the selection of items at grocery stores. I did a Google search on food shortages 2024. And this is a list of shortages to expect in 2024. Spices, dairy products, eggs, seafood, grains, fresh produce, meat and poultry. I'll get all into that in another video. But that's just a little, hint of what we're going to be looking at. The fact of the matter is that in 2023, we faced scarcity of several products, from toilet paper to sriracha. Now, there are a few other items that may become harder to find over the next 12 months. Factors like environmental challenges, labor shortages, and more could pose a risk to the availability, the quality, the affordability of certain spices and dairy products and eggs and seafood and grains and fresh produce, meat and poultry. It goes on and on and on. Of course, there are some things that you're not going to be able to get at all. Did you know that members of Congress have been told, okay, they've been told this, that med shortages in the U.S. recently reached a record high? This is a problem, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. So just think of all the prescriptions that you're on, okay? Because in 2024, you might not be able to get your hands on your own prescriptions. I know I'm having trouble with some of mine already. Shortages in the U.S. have hit a record high, and lawmakers are warning that it could mean life or death for millions of patients. A House committee right now is investigating what Congress can do to the supply chain to make sure doctors don't have to keep rationing essentials like cancer treatments. Health experts agree that shortages of hundreds of generics need urgent attention, but they're still trying to build a consensus on a remedy. If you go to the official FDA drug shortage list, there are 143 entries right now. Check to see if one of yours is on there. Some of them are in short supply that are used millions of times every single year. Critical shortages in the U.S. include albuterol, asthma and allergy med, that's used to prevent and treat breathing difficulty, amoxicillin, epinephrine, adrenaline. According to the CDC, there are, or were, I should say, 54 million prescriptions written for amoxicillin in 2019. In 2020, nearly 62 million albuterol prescriptions were handed out. Now, like I said, I'm not going to sugarcoat any of this for you, because what's the point? This is a crisis. It's a true crisis, and I want you to be prepared for it. In some cases, the lives of American kids are being put in danger. Why? Because they can't even get the meds that they desperately need. Why is this happening? Well, there are factors, okay? And there are factors that are contributing to this nightmare. But one of the biggest is the fact that we have become so dependent on two countries, China and India. Did you know that the U.S. reliance on key materials from China and India make 95% of our meds that are used in emergency care? How scary is that? Okay? We should have never allowed this to happen, but we did. We had no choice. We don't make that call. They do. And now we're paying a huge price for it. I think that if you think that shortages are bad now, just wait, okay? Things will get really crazy, I promise you. So I would very much encourage you to prepare in advance for chaotic times that are rapidly approaching. But unfortunately, most Americans still believe that everything's fine. There's nothing wrong. We're good. Until. Okay? All right, guys, I'm out of here. I'll see you in the next one. You stay safe. You stay positive. You keep prepping. And as always, fearless. Ciao.